Hey everyone, I just want to make a quick video. I don't know. I don't know how quick this is actually going to end up being because I always say it's going to be a quick video and then ends up being like 30 minutes fucking long. As a continuous thing, in my opinion. Wait, that's not in my opinion. That's just like a factual thing. It's not metaphysical. It's not beyond my comprehension or whatever. It's just my inability to predict the way things pan out, but only in short bursts, roughly 15 to 20 to maybe 30 minutes of inaccuracy. It's sort of a thing that just sort of happens. My yeah, it's very predictable. It's very predictable. But anyway, I want to celebrate. I just hit 80 subscribers. I hit 80 subscribers on my channel. Boom. It says 79. It's lies. Don't believe your lying eyes. I just want to say that that actually makes me really happy. I mean, seriously, fucking 80 people. 80. Well, 79. But 80, it's actually 80. Uh, it's actually been really cool. And you might be thinking like, well, dude, you get like 19 views a video and stuff like that, right? But like, if I go to Minds, so like, oh, I gotta be careful about this because this like NS FW content appears apparently on Minds. Minds is fucking badass, by the way. But if I go, I'll be safe from like having any of that shit show up if I just post on this, right? Like one of the things that I've been noticing toward is sort of this like trend with social media, and I have made many videos about things like this along those lines in relation to Sue on my previous YouTube channel that ends up having like 521 subscribers. I'm being dwarfed by my own channel that's not even having videos. It continues to gain subscribers, so I'm not exactly sure what's causing that. I might actually like start posting like content on that channel just because it seems to be getting subscribers. The only reason why I branched off is just because I wanted to have a Castle Does channel, like an actual Castle Does channel. Wow, I got sidetracked majorly. Anyway, mine's I am starting to sort of crest on getting views. Here's the thing about mines, though. It takes a lot on previous social media. When I say previous social media, I'm talking about Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. It takes a lot more to get this many views for somebody of my stature. My stature is like if I get fucking 20 views on a fucking video that I made, that shit is like holy cow, screen shaking. You can't even see what's going on. Roddy Piper is fucking punching you in the face. I don't know why I just but but seriously, like that was pretty random. But seriously, that is like a really big deal. But on mine's I don't know who's like how many people are actually watching the video. People are seeing my shit. And boosting is gamed. Mine's is a really interesting fucking channel, like social media. Because you get these points, and then you can use those points to spend on stuff. Like boosting your your videos or your posts. Like I could choose like the last video I put up, zombie doll playing Redemption of the Slain, and negative 400. Look at this. I spent 400 points. That equals me getting 400 views. What? Like I am so low in the grand scheme of things. I am such a small fish in the grand scheme of things. 400 views is fucking insane. That's like as many people I fucking knew in high school. That's as many people I've ever had. Like at one point, at the height of my Facebook, when I was just friending people randomly, 400 views. 400 friends on Facebook. Meaningless because they'd never see a fucking post. Because Facebook, utilizes artificial intelligence as a means to gate what people can see. Now, I don't know exactly the extent of what Facebook uses when it comes to that shit, but there's a lot of trends that I see right now when it comes to artificial intelligence that a lot of people aren't really talking about. And artificial intelligence is actually a really, really, really big deal. It's pattern recognition, people. Whenever I talk to somebody about artificial intelligence, what's the first thing that comes to their mind? What comes to your mind when I say artificial intelligence? What do you think when I say artificial intelligence? What? I know exactly what you think. Ex Machina was such a great movie. The technological the technological why am I thinking singularity. The technological singularity. When you think of artificial intelligence, you shouldn't be thinking about that. Because the technological singularity, when robots become Skynet and nuke the entire world, I am taking over your entire existence. It doesn't take a technological singularity to make a difference. The technological singularity is actually something that is far more prominent, far more. It exists right now and is affecting us. So I see a lot of people talking about things when it comes to artificial intelligence, when it comes to social networking tools. And it's actually a really big deal. I just had a friend of mine show me that Google just released a means of using artificial intelligence to police harassment online. And then you have what Harmful Opinions always talks about. I don't know if you know of all of these. The YouTube community, basically the skeptic community, they'll call it. It's a community, quote unquote community. I don't know where everybody fits in on this, but I'm talking about like Sargon of Akkad and one of the more prominent members of the skeptic community. You might have Armored Skeptic, Shoe on Head. You'll have Chris Raygun. You'll have it ranges, man. I couldn't possibly name everybody off the top of my head. Harmful Opinions talks an awful lot about artificial intelligence being used and towards an app called Candid. And that ends up being a really big point of contention. But one of the things that's really interesting about this is that a lot of people, especially in the skeptic community, I mean, this could be really intelligent people as well. I could be listening to somebody such as I don't know, Stefan Mullen. Maybe you don't know who he is. He does these really good things. He's he's a very eloquent speaker, far more eloquent than I, especially because I'm fucking drunk right now. Mm. Oh, that was a strong shot. Oh. But even someone as well spoken as Stefan Mullen, um, Hexenhammer 666, Sticks Hexenhammer 666, they all think of artificial intelligence. These people all seem to have this sort of thought process that artificial intelligence, it's nothing to worry about because the technological singularity isn't upon us right now. It isn't upon us in the next 10 years. But I surmise, I say that the technological singularity is irrelevant. It's irrelevant because it's already artificial intelligence is already affecting us as we speak right now, and it's being used right now. So when somebody says artificial intelligence and they say, "Oh, but you know, computers aren't going to like figure out how to be self-sufficient for 50 years or whatever, 100 years, 1,000 years. It's irrelevant. Human beings are not going to be so complex that they can't be replaced. All right, let me figure out a better way to say this. Human beings can be replaced with pattern recognition systems that are far simpler than artificial intelligence and a technological singularity. So, when I go to places like Facebook, I can go to my Facebook and everything like that. Right now, I'm just going to use this like spinning globe. It's used as a means to gate what we actually see. Facebook's already doing this. Twitter is possibly already doing this because there's a greater need right now to gate content, and this is only getting worse as we go. There's bots that can upvote on Reddit. There's things that you would consider artificial intelligence that aren't really using deep learning neural networks. See, deep learning neural networks are on another level. Candid, when referring to something like what Harmful Opinions keeps talking about, Candid, the Candid app, and the artificial intelligence that's uh, being used for that particular content. Candid is an example of what I would consider to be training artificial intelligence. And then once you train the artificial intelligence, you're able to actually copy it and utilize it in different ways. You see, the the easiest way to explain modern artificial intelligence right now is that it's a pattern recognition system, right? Oh man, I just completely went off. I was just talking, but this is just a random thing that's coming to mind. It's something that's bothering me that a lot of people in the skeptic community are not paying attention to, or they haven't really learned about it or anything like that. You can learn about this stuff if you just look up deep learning neural networks. Look it up and understand what's going on there. Training a deep learning neural network is a huge part of the process of actually garnering value from a deep learning neural network. Okay, so Candid may actually be an example of this, but it's an example of this in all fronts. In fact, what we consider right now to be big data, which is pretty much available to everybody at this point in time, anybody who has access to lots and lots of information is capable of training an artificial intelligence more effectively. The more information you have, the more interesting things that an artificial intelligence will be able to recognize. An artificial intelligence is just pattern recognition. So when I say pattern recognition, and the easiest way to describe exactly what pattern recognition is a digital camera creates a digital image at a very fast rate. It creates multiple digital images over a long period of time, right? Well, one of the reasons why a digital camera combined with a deep learning neural network is such a big deal is because a deep learning neural network learns what it is looking at. In other words, a digital camera produces something that is viable in terms of what a deep learning neural network can consume and begin to look at, because it's all pixels. It's just looking at the pixels. Each one of the pixels, to simplify things, a group of pixels or a pixel could be applied to a single neuron. And then through this, it's capable of learning very complex things, such as seeing objects on the road, like stop signs. It learns in the same way that we do. And then you can use this technology to apply simple logic. So you have a really smart artificial intelligence that's capable of recognizing all of these things through training, like the Candid app. or Facebook. It's actually disingenuous to say that Candid is the only are the only people who are making use of a neural network AI. You can tell it's a neural network AI because nothing else can tell context of a sentence. But when you're making use of a deep learning neural network, you're able to apply basic logic and say, you know what, when you see a stop sign, I want you to stop it at this point, right? And then it can actually look for the line on the road, and it can do all of those things because it's learned how to see what those groups of pixels actually are. And it's the same thing when it comes to how your brain operates. Like the more and more you train your brain, if you're a professional artist, you'll be able to recognize groups of shapes a little bit better. If you have a really great spatial sense, you might be a really good technician or um, an architect. Different brains work differently, but when it comes to a deep learning neural network, they have a very basic understanding of the world around them, and when combined with a digital camera, that opens things up even more. You see, for a really long time, you had robots that had sensory perception that was limited to much less than a digital camera. You had robots that were much less capability in terms of how much they can learn because a neural network wasn't available, right? So you had robots that can only see with lidar or very, very, very simplistic, archaic systems that were basically just drawing line traces essentially to see if something bounces off a wall, sending out pings, radar, lidar, that kind of stuff. But when you are able to actually analyze images in real time with a neural network, or if you're able to actually analyze text, or if you it's all the same. If you can analyze text, you can analyze images, you can analyze any of that stuff. All right. So artificial intelligence is a really big deal because it allows anyone to apply simple logic to solve much more complex problems than were available before. In a way, it's like artificial intelligence when it came to video games, except the AI is now capable of actually seeing the real world. In video games, we would work with artificial intelligence in a very different way. Asimov's law has always been false. I've been working with AI for 20 years. AI always wants me dead. I'm pretty sure that extends to the real world. Artificial intelligence is used in drones. It's used in anything. Anything with a digital camera and a neural network is capable of wreaking great havoc on anything that it decides to have combat with, just like video game characters and artificial intelligence in video game characters and stuff like that. Okay, training AI is a really big deal, and it requires big data to do it. So that's one of the things that's actually pretty interesting when you talk about social media, is that we're training AI simply by using Facebook. Getting on Candid's ass about this is only scraping the surface. It's a lot more complicated. So when I see somebody like Harmful Opinions talking about Candid, uh, there's really just I feel like I see people who see a problem but don't understand the full extent of it. Like, yeah, this is definitely a big deal. It's being used for censorship, but it could be used for just about anything. See, I don't believe that censorship is the way to go. I believe that lists are the way to go. And artificial intelligence can be used to create lists. So when I say lists, I say in a social media term. I say that an artificial intelligence can be utilized to appoint inflected tags on posts. So there's a difference between tags that when you post something, you can say hashtag, or you can say tag like I'm making a Doom level, so I'm going to put a Doom tag when I'm posting. Artificial intelligence can place inflected tags automatically. It's something that's already been going on for a long time. It would be more useful for us as the user. It's not useful for the company to make this kind of information available to us. In other words, artificial intelligence being used by corporations is actually detrimental. But if we can use artificial intelligence ourselves to do what we want, it gives us the ability to break down the barriers of censorship. Whereas if a corporation is using artificial intelligence, they're probably doing things that are a lot more nefarious. Well, who knows, right? I don't usually trust corporations any more than I trust the government. So when you see something like Candid, I don't know. It's actually something that I kind of wish that I could talk about, like I could bring up. But anyway, I've gone way off track. But it's something that's just been on my mind for a really long time. Like, too many people think of artificial intelligence and they immediately think of fucking movies they saw in the 80s and 90s. So seriously, it's not the case. It's not that way. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. Artificial intelligence is a tool and it can be used to replace people. If you work a job where you are not constantly solving problems, difficult problems, design problems, you can be replaced using artificial intelligence. If you gave an artificial intelligence a list of every comic book ever made, and then told it to look at the text and associate the text with every panel on every comic book ever made. This is big data. An artificial intelligence can randomly generate comic books with characters based on the information that is provided. Because after a while, you will start to see patterns. What kind of text is usually associated with a close-up of a character's angry face? What kind of text is usually associated with somebody being blown off the side of a building? What kind of text do you usually see that is associated with somebody who's throwing a punch and knocking a guy out? Artificial intelligence is designed to recognize these kinds of things. So you can actually use artificial intelligence to recognize those patterns. And then it can randomly generate something that maybe at first isn't fantastic. But it may actually be a launching ground for somebody to be inspired to work on something new. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can utilize this. But down the road, the further you go with technology, the further and more advanced that technology gets, the more you can do with it. Eventually, you can press a fucking button and you'll get Lord of the Rings, a comic book that is like Lord of the Rings, at the press of a button. It's not impossible. Merely because all you need to do is look at everything we've already done, find the patterns, recognize what works and what doesn't, provide a form of evolution in terms of what people like, upvotes, popularity, a meritocracy of some sort, and there you go. It wouldn't take more than 5 years before you could take an AI who recognizes every single pattern in a comic book and be able to actually auto-generate comic books at the press of a button. Entire storylines, everything. Just by looking at what we've already done. There's millions of comics, I'm sure. Probably, maybe not millions, but lots. And it's the same thing with movies. You can apply the same exact logic with movies. You can apply the same exact logic with just about anything. What I'm trying to say is that the technological singularity, and I already said this, is not what's going to get us. It's just the use of artificial intelligence in general. It's going to be very difficult to tell the difference between a person and a robot. But when people say robot, they immediately think C-3PO. But that's the thing. It doesn't actually work that way at all. It's nowhere near that. It's a straw man that has actually been fooling us for a while, because you'll immediately think Skynet and Terminator, so you kind of laugh it off, ha ha ha, whatever. But in reality, every single software update that you've ever downloaded, every single thing, was just a means to produce a higher quality product with the same amount of time. So you have value versus time is continually going up over the years, over time, I guess. So artificial intelligence is the cotton gin for everything. It's not being discussed. It's not being talked about. This is one of the things that I have actually just kind of gone on. And I know I'm talking too long about this probably. You know what? But though, you know what? Like, I haven't really had a chance to actually explain this. I haven't really had a chance to actually really talk about it. I hope that there are people out there who will hear this and maybe understand. It's so short-sighted to say automation and immediately think fucking robots. It's not robots. It's not robots. My entire life has been dedicated to technology. And in the early 90s and the late 90s, I saw a boom. And progress was increased dramatically. And for a while, capitalism actually slowed things down. And one of the things that I think about technology is that it's counterproductive in terms of capitalism. I think that ultimately, when it comes to technology, what we're dealing with is communism in the form of a fucking computer. The better technology gets, the less we need people. And eventually, you don't need anybody to get stuff done. You can just press a fucking button and you can generate stuff that used to take people hundreds of hours, thousands of hours. I'll see people, very intelligent YouTubers, and they'll talk about this. They'll be like, ha ha ha, I don't have anybody in my employ. The legacy media is totally going to die. We are the alt media. We are, the new age. Yes, the legacy media is what, thousands of employees, hundreds of thousands of employees. They have this whole entire archaic system with fucking checks and balances, and you have your key grip and your fucking camera people and like these expensive equipment, and then some dude with a fucking video camera is going to get more coverage, could get more traffic than CNN. That's the thing. That's how you should be thinking of automation. The face of automation is not robotics. It's not robotics. It's every goddamn time you download a new version of something. Photoshop has increased to God knows what fucking version now. And every single time Photoshop got better, it took less to create more. Don't you see? Automation isn't the argument. The technological evolution, singularity, is not the argument. It's irrelevant. You can replace most people with a fucking digital camera attached to a neural network. And it doesn't have to be smarter than a fucking rock. All it has to do is just recognize patterns and follow very, very, very basic logic. So we'll talk about like all this craziness. And I've poured over this. I mean, it's been bothering the shit out of me because I've never really had a chance to talk. You'll have people who talk about, oh, automation's bullshit. It's not. It is not. It has been affecting my fucking life. Okay? My job is useless. And it's getting more useless every fucking year. Read between the fucking lines. Okay? I I build artificial environments, simulated environments. I've been a level designer for a very long time. Okay? It'll be a while before I'm replaced completely. But there isn't really that much of a need for level designers. It's been a while. It's been going this way for a long time. But as technology gets better and better, it's more important to have people who are more focused on the art and stuff like that. It's a whole nother topic, and I'll go over that. But you have these big companies. The game industry has its dinosaurs too. All right. You have indie game developers who end up doing things that are more successful than a lot of the full teams. Team of like maybe 40 or 50 people couldn't compete with them. Uh, Indie game developers sometimes just utilizing better and better and better technology. You have technology that's just cresting right now on a point where it's going to be possible for somebody who's not even a programmer to be able to actually do programming, and that's when things like blueprints and Unreal 4 and stuff like that. I don't think it's a good idea for anybody right now, period, to underestimate the power of not only artificial intelligence, but just technology in general. Now we could talk about a lot of the things that are going like on a socioeconomic level. When you look at things like I don't know, let's take a look at some of the examples. Uh, you'll see conservatives always talking about, well, one parent households and stuff like that, and how detrimental that is to a society. Or how about the decline of the middle class? How about wealth inequality? How's that working out? Well, right now, one of the reasons why wealth inequality is growing so much is because of technology. It's not because of something else. It's not because people got greedier. It's not because things changed from 40 years ago in any other respect other than just technology. The technology has been getting better and better. And as technology gets better and better, you're going to see more single parent households. You're going to see more people who are suffering. You're going to see a decline in the middle class. You're going to see race wars. You're going to see a potential for civil war. And it's all because our technology is getting better and better, and nobody's actually doing anything about it. Nobody's even talking about it. Not the skeptic community, not not anyone. I all right, all right. I don't know. This actually touches on a topic that's really bugged me for a while. When I well, social media is a pretty good place to start when it comes to this topic. I mean, you have artificial intelligence that's being used right now uh, to silence dissenters or silence people who are saying things that you don't like, harassment, quote unquote. The thing is that this technology should be utilized on all fronts. And I don't think this is something that we should be treating lightly. I don't think this is something that should be ignored. And I don't think it's something that people should just be, oh, it's bullshit, like just shrugging it off altogether. Because I'm seeing a lot of very intelligent people, historians, who will sit there and they will, like Stefan Molyneux, he will sit there and he will pull apart the Roman Empire, and he won't even pay attention to where we're going next. You know why? We didn't have artificial intelligence in the Roman Empire. It didn't exist. It never happened. This never happened. So you can talk to historians until you're blue in the face. This isn't a story right now where historians can predict where things are going next. The only way you can predict where things are going next is by pulling apart what is currently available to us now and thinking as much out of the box as possible so that you can utilize it in a meritocracy of ideas. Because that is exactly what it is. We're going towards some weird fucking communist meritocracy. It's a contradiction. It doesn't make any sense. Because I say it's communist because everybody's going to end up with the same shit. Everybody's going to end up when you can create technology that meets demand. At that point, high-end capitalism, what does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense anymore. When you can make enough product, when your product can meet demand willfully without even, having any trouble, and you never even had to pay a single human being to actually make that product, what the fuck value should it have? You have demand, all right, and you have oh god, not profit. You have supply and demand. Oh god. Hey, you know what? I need to drink more. What happens when you create technology that meets the idea of supply and demand? And then I'll have somebody like, oh, well, supply and demand, that's post scarcity. That's never going to fucking happen. Oh, yeah? What about digital products? How about the fact that somebody can make cryptocurrency? Where does cryptocurrency fit in this? It's not the gold standard anymore. It's the time standard because that's the only thing that's left. It's the last bastion of value. Time is the last bastion of value. Some kid can fucking play CSGO and get a skin worth 5 fucking grand. Is he gonna owe taxes on that? Is he going to? You fucking tell me. How the fuck am I gonna pay taxes on the money I'm making on Steam? Can somebody fucking tell me this? How is this shit? Oh, but it's not very much. I'm a fucking person who gets 20 views on Facebook. Use your goddamn brain. Look at this shit. I'm making like almost fucking five. I'm making like $5 a fucking post. I'm nobody. I'm nobody. Look at this shit. It's cryptocurrency. It's going up in value. I own multiple bitcoins. I bought them a long time ago. Where the fuck is this shit? The government doesn't know how to react to this. This is disruptive. This isn't affecting us? Automation isn't affecting us? It is. It's just that people keep thinking about robots and the singularity. Somebody will tell me about how they enjoyed the Ex Machina, the fucking movie, Deus Ex Machina. Oh, she's a sexy female robot who outsmarted the protagonist. No, and the inventor. She made another robot stab that robot. The entire time I was watching the movie, I was thinking to myself, it didn't need to go any further than the one female robot that he had as his wife as the main character. That right there would destabilize an entire fucking culture. That right there would destroy an entire civilization. It didn't need to go further towards an AI that was self-reliant. The self-reliant AI was a straw man at best. It doesn't even matter if you have a fucking realistic sex bot, this hot Asian chick. What would you do? Think of MGTOW. Think of the feminists who don't like men, lesbians. Think of it. Think of every single group. Who the fuck would need anybody at that point? So I was watching the movie and I'm like, this guy made a robot that's like subservient, and that right there was enough. And, oh, but she's not intelligent enough to understand English. Even better. And they sat there in Ex Machina. They were talking about it. They're like, oh, but she's blah 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 using a linear logic. No. It didn't need to go further. The unintelligent, able to cook robot. I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, this chick's a robot, and who cares about the technological singularity at that point? You would destroy humanity with robots like that. There would be no more kids. Nobody would have children ever again. No man would ever deal. It would be over instantly. And that's a lot more of an advanced, like that's a ways off. We're lucky that it's not going to go that far. Right now, we're being replaced by fucking an arm that's glued to a pivot that can just like rotate and like put things together and stuff like that. Trump keeps talking about how he's going to bring back jobs. Yeah, those jobs don't exist. All right, you know what? This is 42 fucking minutes of me just going on about this, and I don't know. I hope somebody. I hope that people can wise up to this, because it's not. Maybe I'll actually like go into more detail about it. Maybe when I'm not pissed drunk. Maybe I'll actually do a review of Ex Machina. I think that would actually cover a lot of it. But once again, it runs the same thing. If somebody says automation and you immediately think of robots, you're wrong. You're wrong. You can't be more wrong. Okay? I'll see people who will be like, on their YouTube channel, well, they don't have anyone under their employ. Talk about how they don't believe in automation. You're a fucking idiot. You're on YouTube. You're not hiring cameramen. You have a fucking digital camera. This shit took 20 people to be able to actually accomplish to any real degree. So, it's automation. It's just a different way to think about it. All right, I'm gonna end this here.